is greatly needed, greatly appreciated, and we utilize 100% of the support in the continuing effort to not only bring you cutting edge research, but to support the technical aspect, the media aspect, as well as the living examples of the research. It is one thing to show you this information in books. It is a completely different thing to show you live proof that this information is changing lives. Even if you have not incorporated this information into your lifestyle, just by supporting, you are changing the lives of many others. We greatly appreciate your support. We greatly appreciate your patience. This is it. We get to change the world right now. Right in this moment. We get to change the world. We get to show. All right. Is the volume okay, guys? Somebody in the chat, let me know if the volume is good. Is the sound good? Mic good? Anybody? I see y'all in the chat. Okay, good. Okay. All right. All right, so peace to the family. Yep. Peace to the gods, right? Shout out to Amber Glow holding it down, right? So we in here, you know. Yeah. We in here, right? So we got some of the family up in here. All right, so listen. We gotta yeah. Well, I'm trying to make it easier, right? So that's the thing that we're doing now. Since we know notifications is challenged, we're going to try to do the God hour all the time. We're just going to try to go Monday to Friday at 7 p.m. So that way, you know, it starts to be routine. You know what I'm saying? At 7 p.m., you already know what it is, right? At 7 p.m., you already know what it is. And then on the weekend, we can go Patreon with it, and I can do some of the things that I can't do, you know, here, or and I'm working on some actual events. So shout out to G-Man, you know what I'm saying, who popped up on Micaiah and I, and hung out with us. That was crazy. That was crazy. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to him. Yeah, yeah. So today, though, we have to look at pH, right? So today's number one, well, I can't even say that, but looking at the body as an electronic device, right? Looking at the body as a sender, a receiver, taking this, I guess, 100 years worth of dead anatomy. Listen to what I'm saying. We are the first group, this group here, me and you. We are the first group to create a living anatomy study, right? So we did living biochemistry, right? That was kind of, and that lasted us over 2 years. Shout out to Sharita for facilitating that for us, holding us down. Shout out to Marv, Freddie, Helvey, and everybody that, Zareta, you know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to everybody that kind of held it down in terms of making the classes, amazing. But now we're going to take it a step up, and we're going to do the thing. Like my father always told me, if the book that you're looking to study is not written, then it's your job to write that book. So if the class that we need is not there, then we got to create the curriculum. We got to create the class. And I guess, in all honesty, I just was waiting until I felt like the group was at a level enough to where we can go, another step further, right? And begin to look at anatomy, not so much as like, the bones, the flesh, blah, 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 but look at the anatomy in a more energetic, if you will, or spiritual, if you will, or a more electric, magnetic, and radiant way, right? In some of the books I talk about that, like in the Soulcraft book, or what is that? I want to say book 2 in the Red Book series, right? Science has a complete blind spot to all of this information, and it starts with pigment. It starts with pigment, and the foundation of the world's greatest academic institutions, racist. Just is what it is, right? So people are changing, but the institutions stay the same. The institutions take a lot more work, right? So we can wait for the institutions to change, or we can just create our own institution, right? Our own curriculums, and do what we need to do. So I often use the example of the blood, right? We know that there are trillions of pieces of iron flowing through our bloodstream right now. You have trillions of pieces of iron flowing through your bloodstream. But no textbooks in school discuss the activity of the magnetism with this iron. That's not there. We know we have phosphorus all throughout the body, but no one discuss the light being produced from the phosphorus all over the body. You know, forget about the electricity, right? We got Dr. Sebi, we got Dr. Robert Becker, end story, right? And then you got thousands of little parasites, you know, herbalists talking about alkaline herbs and electric food and blah, 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 blah. And they don't know what they're talking about. They don't. And the worst offenders, say what it is, are the Sebi clan, right? The Sebi clan, you know, the worst offenders. And the reason being is because the Sebi clan, as well as all the other folks, their main thing in this is to make money. They judge how well you're doing with your herb business or your you know, your holistic, you know, pursuits by how much money you make, how many views you're getting on the video or whatever like that, right? It's not about what we're doing with the research. It's not about how we're changing lives. It's not about, so, you know, respectfully, please stop hitting me up with all the people that I offend, you know, with what we're doing. Of course, those people are going to be offended. You know, they're selling $2,000 herbal packages to get Dr. Sebi's herbs. And we have Blue Magic, where we give you the same exact blood plasma profile from those herbs for less than $100. Right? So, you know, yeah, they're supposed to be upset. Period. You just got to have the nutrients. So are you going to pay $1,000 to have this nutrient profile circulating in your blood, or you going to pay $65 and you get all these herbs and the vegan vitamin D3, the harmine for your pancreas, the seaweeds from the cold water, and your mama time? So today, in discussing, you know, we're still laying the foundations for this endeavor that we're on. You know, I don't know how deep or how, you know, how far we're going to get into it, but you know, we're gonna push forward. This is on, we damn near on some Star Trek shit. Like, you know, we're gonna go, we're boldly going where no man has gone before. So there's no way to put a time on it and say this is gonna be 4 weeks, 4 months, 4 years, you know, 100 classes, 20 classes. You know, we doing our thing. You know, we're gonna see what we can do. Right now, this is the hardcover version of book 4, right? From the Red Book series, right? Red Book series, book number 4, which is the carbon edition, right? Now, in this book, we talk about a very serious, it was a very serious moment for me as a student of the sciences and as a fan. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, a lot of you guys that are beta males out there, you know, you guys try to mimic alpha male behavior. And so in your mimicking of alpha male behavior, or what you perceive to be alpha male behavior, you guys don't want to feel like you're a fan. You know, I laugh all the time at people that be like, I'm not a fan, or you a fan. Like they use the word fan like as if it's a disrespectful insult to somebody to be a fan. You know what I'm saying? And I noticed that that's only in our community, and it's really a mind fuck in and of itself, because it plants the seed into your subconscious deep that you're less than a man if you support another person, especially another brother. Oh, I'm not a fan. I'm not saying like I'm a fan. I'm a fan of all kinds of people. You know what I'm saying? White folks, black folks, yellow folks, red folks, young folks. I'm a fan of even some children, people that are younger than me. You know what I'm saying? I'm a fan of some of the elders. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a fan. So in this moment, though, I'm talking about, I was faced with a conundrum. Dr. Sebi called out Francis Cress Welsing. That was a moment for me. You know what I'm saying? Because again, a lot of people play with this stuff, but I've been living my life to these people for, for a long time. So that was like, and Francis Cress Welsing, I had Francis Cress Welsing. I still do. You know what I'm saying? I have Francis Cress Welsing on a very high pedestal, because at a time when Black folks were being attacked and, they were using scientific classifications and scientific nomenclature to reinforce racist ideals, right? Which is part of the reason why over the years you see me argue with these goofy guys about out of Africa theory and some of these things that, and it's crazy that you people at home never hold these guys accountable for old information. Like, 10 years, I'm arguing back and forth with these goofballs about out of Africa theory. Now that modern mainstream science is saying that that's incorrect, how is it that you don't hold those people accountable for 10 years worth of misinformation? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't see that. Like, that's what science is supposed to be. When we're in real-time teaching, time will reveal who was correct and who wasn't. And it's up for you guys as the fans and the students at home to go back and check these folks and go, hey, we're here now. We can look back in hindsight, which is 2020, and go, nah, these were the bozos. These were the bozos. And we gave you ear space before, but based on your track record, we're tuning you guys out. We're unsubscribing. We're unfollowing, so anyway, Dr. Sebi calls out Francis Cress Welsing, and this probably winds up being Dr. Sebi's most classical quoted line. In fact, I wonder if I could find this. If I could find it on my computer, that would be dope. If I could find this on my computer, let me see something.
In your automobile, take out your generator and see what it has inside. It has a copper wheel and some carbon brushes. If electricity is the brain is the center of motor. Hence this copper wheel, the pineal gland is.
No. I got so many Sebi clips. I got so many Sebi clips. It don't even make sense. So I don't know. Let me see. Sebi. It'll be valuable. I mean, we could go without it regardless. Or maybe I could find it on the internet, because I know it's up there. It's going to be valuable if I could find this. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
They got the blue magic.
I've got cancer. I've got that. Man, hold on. All I could find so far is this piece of the clip. If I look long enough, I think I could find it, but we could at least, we can read from the book. Okay.
What is found in the body that is attributed to melanin is carbon. Carbon not only determines the quality of life in black folks, carbon determines the quality of life in every living plant that exists that is natural. If carbon is absent, there's no life. What is found in the body that is attributed to melanin is carbon. Carbon not only determines the quality of life in black folks, carbon determines the quality of life in every living plant that exists that is natural. If carbon is absent, there's no life. What is found in the body.
All right, so that's a short version. I'm sure y'all have seen that whole clip, but let me read you guys the entirety, and we're gonna go through this, and we're gonna get to some nuances, because when we look at the body as electric, right, we got to take a look at pH, right? We got to look at the basic circuitry in the body to get a deeper understanding of this whole overall thing before we get crazy with it, right? And we can't do that without understanding how carbon actually works in the body, at least a basic understanding of carbon in the body for real. So I guess today's object is pH and then carbon at the same time. If you don't know, this is one of the reasons why, for me, it was important to start talking about the part of the anatomy that you can't see and you can't touch, because that's the most important part of the anatomy. The most important part of your body is the part of the body that you cannot see and cannot touch. I need to repeat that again. The most important part of your anatomy, your physiology, your biochemistry, your neurochemistry is the part that you cannot see and cannot touch. Can you see and touch with your hands and your eyes the energy that is released from ATP in your cells? No. No. But we know, because we're battling diabetes, that energy kills hundreds of millions of people when your body is unable to produce it properly, right? When your body's unable to metabolize glucose and fats and proteins properly, we know that that's diabetes, right? When you have a problem producing that thing that you can't see and can't touch that animates your body, right? When we deal with pH, the most impactful thing on your pH is, again, something you cannot see, something you cannot touch with your eyes and your hands. It is carbon exchange. The carbon exchange, the carbon metabolism. It's the breath. It's the gases. It's not your food. Your food is not the largest determiner of alkalinity in your body, especially in the blood, right? So when you hear that, remember that's all about selling herbs. Oh, you need the burdock root. Somebody else gonna tell you. Oh, you need that yellow dock root. Oh, no. Dandelion. You need that dandelion. We need them to all relax. We need them to all relax. They are pimping the fact. Listen to this. They are pimping the fact that we live in toxic environments with toxic people in toxic relationships, and we eat toxic food. So what does that mean? That means that technically, if you start incorporating any type of herbs or extra nutrition into your lifestyle, you're going to see benefits. But that doesn't mean that you're still not getting scammed, right? So knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So we're going to look at this statement from Dr. Sebi, and then we're going to fully, start to break down, the impact that this statement had in setting up the holistic industry largely for people that don't know anything about anatomy or chemistry or neurochemistry, to pimp the people. And it kind of set us back science-wise. Now, again, Dr. Sebi's still a god for me. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't make him a beyond reproach, especially when we have this statement that is incredibly far-reaching. It's probably the one statement that it's the quote or the clip that Dr. Sebi is most known for. Dr. Sebi is more known for this clip than he is for AIDS or any of the other stuff that we know Dr. Sebi for. So if you have this book, we're on page 11, right? If you have this book, we're on page 11. Here's the quote. Melanin is not a mineral. Melanin is a word that was used to describe a certain biological function. But that particular identification or category or thing, melanin, is a European identification of what they think activates those neurons in our body that make us black. But when you break down our body, our biological structure, into what we would have to put it in, chemistry, biochemistry, melanin has no place. It's not to be found in the body. That is attributed to melanin is carbon. Carbon not only determines the quality of life for Black folks, carbon determines the quality of life in every living plant that exists that is natural. If carbon is absent, there is no life. Melanin, what is it? I don't know. Well, white folks talk about protein. What is protein? They say one of the 19 amino acids, the building blocks of life. But I know for a fact that that is not true. That is not a true statement. Because if protein was the building blocks of life, what happened to the gorilla that lives 180 years without eating anything that contains protein? Unless they're going to say that the plants contain protein too. They always saying things, and because we have no laboratory to investigate those claims, then we have to swallow it hook, line, and sinker. Miss Frances Cress Wilson mentioned melanin, and I asked her, what is this thing? And I know she could not adequately answer the question because she was trained by someone European. So when you are trained by Europeans and told these things, you have to regurgitate these things, but no, they are completely in error. We have to be careful. It's like a brother recommended that you use comfrey for your bones. That is in the books from the European philosophers, from European philosophical days. But when you look at comfrey a little bit, you'll find it contains starch. Again, another European philosophy. Melanin falls under the same category. It is a belief, not a reality. I tried to keep that quote as exact as possible. Right? Now, we can take a look at, and I'm gonna be honest, this is what students do out of respect, right? I wouldn't be able to sit here if I hadn't spent, honestly, months and years studying like every word he was saying, right? And at this point, the vantage point that I have now, a lot of this, honestly, was gobbledygook, right? It was gobbledygook. And we can just do a quick once over, and then you'll be able to see that this did more damage to the community than anything, right? Melanin is not a mineral. The statement that melanin is not a mineral leads one to believe that a thing has to be a mineral in order to be nutritious. We know that's not true. We know we need vitamins and a host of other different types of nutrients outside of minerals. That's number one. Number two, if the context of the statement is that carbon is the main thing that we need, minerals don't contain carbon. There's no such thing as an organic mineral unless you're trying to stretch carbon to be an organic mineral. Because literally the scientific definition of organic is something containing carbon. But when you deal with minerals, minerals are pure. It's just that thing by itself. Meaning, if I take iron, right? Iron as a mineral, right, is pure, right? So the term mineral in and of itself is a misnomer. The human body does not even use minerals. Listen to what I'm telling you. I know this might be a culture shock for some of you people. That's why you need to read more. The human body does not use minerals. Minerals are toxic to the human body. Minerals are not pure. Minerals come out of the ground as a combination of different elements. Your body only needs the pure elements. So when your body uses iron, it's in elemental form, right? When you're talking about the iron in the red blood cell, it's not mineral. It's elemental form. You have single atoms of iron. Single atoms of iron. No carbon. It's not organic. It's pure iron, right? So Just the entire corpus has to be kind of updated. And, you know, a lot of people are standing in the way of, you know, really it's just us, you know, that's doing this work. All right. But anyway, melanin is a word used to describe a certain biological function. That's incorrect. Melanin is a word to describe a pigment, not a biological function, right? But that particular identification or category or thing is a European identification. Now, the problem with that is, first things first, he's absolutely correct, right? He's absolutely correct. But the problem with that is, because it's a European word or term, it doesn't make it intrinsically evil or wrong or whatever, because the rest of the words or terms that he uses are also European, right? Biochemistry, right? These words all have the same origins. So we want to trace melanin back to Greek or Roman or whatever. When you do etymology on mineral and biochemistry and neuron and all these other terms that are obviously okay to use, those are European terms. So it doesn't have a factual basis, right? And we just kind of just moving through this quickly, right? Now, carbon not only determines the blah, 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 carbon determines the quality of life in every living plant that exists that is natural. That was almost correct right up until that is natural, right? Because that allows a person to believe that a hybridized or a GMO plant does not have carbon in it. These are the things that, listen, you might at home be thinking these are arbitrary things, but these are the reasons why we can't take what we do mainstream. These are the reasons that I, as a naturopathic doctor, can sit down and get into some rooms that some of these goofballs that you support cannot, because they're going to carry these philosophies in. They're going to carry these philosophies in that have no basis in science, right? So you need to know that. All plants, natural, unnatural, from the lab, hybrid, they all have carbon in them, period. So that doesn't mean one thing in either direction. That doesn't mean anything, right? It doesn't mean anything, right? What is protein? They say one of the 19 amino acids. We know that's not to be the case, because protein is a combination of amino acids strung together to make peptides, hormones, and also proteins, and also pigments, etc., etc. So I'm not going to continue to. I'm not even going to go deeper, because I don't want to just tear this down too crazy, right? I don't want to tear it down too crazy. But you get it, right? You get it. What I do want to do with the majority of our time today is actually talk about what carbon does do, why carbon is important. And the video, what is that? The thumbnail. Let me pull up the thumbnail, because that is what we're going to use as our cheat code. So, you know, you guys could copy the thumbnail. What is up? Oh, it's in here. All right, bang. You guys could copy the thumbnail. What's in the video, you know. But this is like a nice little cheat code right here. This is a nice little chart right here that I made up so that we could get a good idea of what carbon is actually doing. All right, I'm flipping through the book. I want to see where do we want to deal with this? Carbon isn't seen by your body as the all-around super nutrient that you would think. Even activated charcoal works on two factors. Carbon binds to all other elements. The body will get rid of carbon at all costs. Okay, you know what? I think we can. If we need to go back, we can. We could jump back. We could jump back. But yeah, we're going to jump to page 23. All right, we're going to jump to page 23 real quick. Carbon isn't seen by your body as the all-around super nutrient that you would think. Even activated charcoal works on two factors, right? Now, why am I saying that? Because everything has carbon. Fats are made out of carbon. Healthy fats and unhealthy fats are made out of carbon. Healthy carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, GMO carbohydrates, crack cocaine. Hold on. That's what I'm saying. Crack cocaine. You know, what they do over there on Rich Page. You know what I'm saying? They into coke and crack snorting to activate their DMT. That is made out of carbon.
Cocaine, it could be crack. You know about what a sigil is. You know what a sigil is. Well, you have become a sigil. You become a sigil for this world that the computer is building. And you are the ones that's teaching the computer what a human is. And that's the reason why they put that cocaine in there, because the M-dimethyltryptamine, when you snort that up, it kicks in the N-dimethyltryptamine. And your body has the strongest.
Can't you tell that I came from the dope game?
So it's everywhere. Protein, you know, the only thing that you don't have carbon in, right, is your water. Well, at least it's not supposed to be in there, right? Water is not organic, right? Water has no carbon. It's hydrogen and oxygen, right? But your carbohydrates, your fats, your proteins, all are carbon based. The healthy ones, the unhealthy ones, the fake ones, the hybrids, the GMOs, they are all carbon based. I need you to get that so that we can stop sounding stupid out in public. Right? So anyway, page 23. Carbon isn't seen by your body as the all-around super nutrient that you would think. Even activated charcoal works on two factors. Carbon binds to all other elements. The body will get rid of carbon at all costs. That's why activated charcoal is good, right? Because it binds to everything. That's what carbon does. It binds to things. And then because your body, 99% of the time, you know, we'll have another discussion where, you know, carbon is actually, anyway, but most of the time your body looks to just get rid of carbon. Carbon is seen as a waste product, right? That's what CO2 is. Think about it. If carbon was that amazing, your body wouldn't be getting rid of it. Remember that. Plants take in carbon. Plants use carbon. We, for the most part, do not. We get rid of the carbon. That's literally the metabolism process. Like, so when you take herbs, right? Listen, my herbs, Sebi herbs, whoever's herbs, when you take those herbs, the one thing out of the herbs that is going to be, you know, your body's going to get rid of is the carbon. Your body's going to break those herbs down and it's going to get rid of the carbon. It's not going to use the carbon. The carbon's not going to magically heal your cancer or AIDS. your body's going to get rid of it. It's called CO2, carbon dioxide. Your body gets rid of carbon. I need y'all to get that. Your body breaks down the food, the herbs, the drinks, all the things you put into it, and gets rid of the carbon. Your body gets rid of the carbon. You got to deal with that. Right? So you got to think about that. If carbon was so magnificent as the legend has it, you know, oh my God, the pure natural plants have the carbon, and, you know, the hybrid plants, you know, they're not natural. They don't have the carbon. What? Everything. If you can see it and touch it, it has to have the carbon, because the carbon is what's holding all the other atoms together. It's literally the body of your fats, carbohydrates, proteins, plants, you name it, right? So whether it's chicken, whether it's kale, whether it's cow's milk or almond milk, carbon is in all of them, right? Whether it's hybridized, fake, GMO, pesticide, this one, that one, you know, you get your produce, it got 4 numbers, the 9 is in the front, the 4, none of that matters. All of it has carbon. And when you eat it all, your body's going to get rid of the carbon, right? When the guys are taking lean, when the guys are sipping lean, they're shooting heroin, whether you smoking weed, listen, when you smoke weed, the weed has carbon. Hybrid weed has carbon. In has carbon. The cigarette, like ounce beer, has to get a knock say shit. Carbon is everywhere. Not only is it in everything, but your body is going to get rid of it. Your body doesn't want it. It's going to breathe it out. And the ability of your body to get rid of carbon is what keeps your blood pH right. That is the most important factor, is your body's ability to get rid of carbon. Listen to what I'm saying. Getting rid of carbon is what keeps your blood in a nice alkaline state. You niggas are thinking the opposite. You got to get the carbon in to stay alkaline. Anybody teaching you all that shit, and they're probably selling you electric food and alkaline shit and all that, they don't know what they're talking about. None of that is actual science. This is why you niggas need these books. You need these books, because these guys don't know what they're talking about, but y'all are sending them y'all money. So anyway, activated charcoal then reinforces the weird truth that carbon is an unnutrient. It's definitely something I use. It's good for you, but it is not a nutrient. Carbon dioxide in water makes carbonic acid. The body gets most carbon into exhalation, into the exhalation cycle or the urine cycle very quickly, right? So the body gets the carbon into the urine or into the breath to be released out of the body immediately. These relationships may be more nuanced than you'd expect. Nitrogen is critical for protein synthesis. A baby can't grow without nitrogen. Enzymes, hormones, peptides, and DNA all require nitrogen. This hopefully should make plain the idea that only carbohydrates are good, and somehow just adding nitrogen and converting the CHO carbohydrate into a CHON protein makes something acidic. Right? Let me rewind that. Right? A lot of people are promoting the philosophy that only carbohydrates are good. Right? Vegan diet. You know, if you're a vegan, you're only eating carbohydrates for the most part, right? And you're looking to get your protein from the carbohydrates. Yeah. If it sounds strange, this is why we have to, we need correction, right? Ammonia is a nitrogen-based compound and is between 11 and 13 on the alkaline scale. So technically, the protein is the most alkaline thing you could eat. Wait, what just happened? Protein produces ammonia in your body when you metabolize it. That ammonia is super alkaline. It's a 12 or 13. Guess what? It's poisonous. Ammonia is poisonous. Well, why are you telling us that, Doc? Because it's very alkaline. So I need you to break away from these ideas that purely alkaline is good, and the more alkaline it is, the better it is. No, it's not how your body works. And on the flip side, things that are acid are not bad just because they're acid, right? Your bones are made out of amino acids. Something that I'm noticing a lot of vegans are having problems with. A lot of vegans are having issues with getting enough collagen in their body. They're having issues with getting enough collagen in their body. A lot of you niggas that are having these problems are trying to do it yourself shit instead of spending your money where it needs to go. And I'm not just telling you that because I'm the person you should be spending your money with. No, because I also I got boxes of all kinds of vitamins and nutrients and blah, 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 blah from all kinds of other folks. You know what I'm saying? Online and offline. I don't just consume my own stuff. But I'm telling you this because you need to understand balance. Ma'at. Kemet is the foundation of chemistry, and the foundation of Kemetic philosophy and Kemetic thought is balance. That's why when you look at the pH of the blood, is balanced. 7.365, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's an easy mnemonic to remember what your blood pH should be. 7.365. The pH scale goes from 1 to 14. If your blood is supposed to be just over at the middle, that means balance is what you need, right? You can't think all acids are bad because your bones are amino acids. Your DNA, the A stands for acid. Like literally your DNA is acid. Like, I just, come on, we got to bring zip.
It ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun, you heard?
Right? Now, the link between respiration and metabolism is carbon. Right? We've been discussing it. All of your foods are made of carbon. All of them. The good ones, the bad ones, the ones in between. They're made out of carbon. The way your body metabolizes them is by breaking up those carbon bonds and chains. separating everything else so your body could use all the other stuff and get rid of the carbon. Yo, I can't make this shit up. Seriously. Right? So metabolism and respiration go like this, right? The efficiency of carbon cleaning contributes largely to your endurance. What am I talking about? Now, this part right here is where carbon plays a role in your exercise. So the better your body is at getting rid of carbon, the better your endurance is. The reason why when you exercise, your breath speeds up is so that you can get rid of carbon faster. The faster you can get rid of the carbon, the easier it is for you to perform whatever physical task whatever you're doing. Push-ups, running, having sex, building a building, I don't know, whatever it is you're doing, right? Hopefully you're on the push-up challenge. I'm not getting enough push-ups from you guys. Remember, text me your sets of push-ups to 586-298-5000. I'm not getting enough of you niggas sending me push-ups. But this is why your breathing speeds up. So it can speed up, your body breaking down the metabolism part, nutrients, so that you can have what you need to have to continue to perform. But as it's doing that, it has to get rid of that carbon. It has to get rid of that carbon, right? And one of the things we talk about is what I believe will be a new problem in the future, or at least a more prevalent issue, carbon monoxide building up in the brain, right? That's a whole nother conversation. Hold on one second.
Your support is greatly needed, greatly appreciated, and we utilize 100% of the support in the continuing effort to not only bring you cutting edge research, but to support the technical aspect, the media aspect, as well as the living examples of the research. It is one thing to show you this information in books. It is a completely different thing to show you live proof that this information is changing lives. Even if you have not incorporated this information into your lifestyle, just by supporting, you are changing the lives of many others. We greatly appreciate your support. We greatly appreciate your patience.
All right, so where was I at? Holistic Mr. All right, let's go. All right, so let's go to. No, we're not going to do that. I was about to say, everybody pull out book one. Everybody pull out book one. I don't even know where my copy is of book one. Right? But I have a book one sampler so that you know what book one looks like. It's got the little the Peachtree dish on the cover. These are samples that I made to give out at at TEDx, but there wasn't even that as much as people as I thought was going to be at TEDx. So I brung them home. So now I'm sending them to you guys. You can use them to share with family members and all that kind of stuff. But in book 1, we talked about Max Kleber, right? This is kind of where we started this whole mission off, right? Because Max Kleber discovered that the tricarboxylic acid cycle, basically he discovered that food was not producing all of the energy that we use every day. There was a large portion of energy that we use that wasn't coming from food. Now, we discovered the EnQi cycle, right? We solved Max Kleber's problem, right? We discovered where the energy's coming from. So in that space, though, I need everybody to be savvy with at least the basic idea of how this works, right? How this works, how we break it down, right? And that's kind of where this thing comes in. That's kind of where this thing comes in, right? This is what happens as your body is metabolizing these carbon bonds, right? Breaking it down, right? When your body gets that 6 carbon, right? That's going to be glucose. It's going to break that down to pyruvate. It's going to break that down to acetyl-CoA, right? So you can use this, like I'm telling you, as a little cheat code, right? Because then, like, that acetyl-CoA is going to start, like, that's your cholesterols and all your hormones and all that stuff comes from that, right? That 2 carbon, it's going to build, right? It's going to build stuff around it, chains and blah, 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 and create new molecules and peptides and hormones, et cetera, right? Those singlet carbons, your body's going to view those as toxins and look to get rid of those. It's going to look to get rid of those items. Right? Now, there's so much information in this book. A 100,000 biochemical reactions taking place per cell, right? Per second, rather, in the body, all powered by breaking down these carbon bonds to produce your body weight in ATP. Right? So if you weigh 180 pounds, every single day, your body has to have 180 pounds of raw ATP to power your body. Now, that's a baseline. That's a baseline. If you're 180 pounds and you're a sanitation worker, you're a construction worker, you're an athlete, or maybe you're a cop, but you're working somewhere where you like actively chasing folks. Like, if you push your body past its limits, I'm telling you what that phrase means, because a lot of us have used that phrase without even paying attention to what, like, you push your body past its limits. What are your body's limits? What is your body's limits? Your body's limits is made out of 2 things. A, how much ATP you can produce in a day. And then B, how much carbon you can get rid of, right? And a lot of people that really push their body past the limits, they have mystery headaches. They have mystery headaches. And the reason they have mystery headaches is because they're not really getting rid of all the carbon. They're not really getting rid of the carbon, all of the carbon. And there are small amounts of carbon monoxide being produced that can get trapped in the skull, that gas, and then you got a headache. This is our research that we feel like science will confirm shortly. Science often confirms our, but that's what we've been, and honestly, I've had a lot of high school, college athletes, couple NFL guys, 1 or 2 NBA guys, all with the same headaches, all with the same remedy, all with 100% success. You know what I'm saying? Little mama tonics and a nap. Yeah, and poof, headache's gone, right? But if you jump to page 27, right, we talk about glycolysis, right? Glycolysis is breaking down glucose, releasing light and pyruvate. Releasing light and pyruvate, right? So each time these chains are broken, energy, quote unquote, is released. So that's what the books say. Energy is released. What type of energy? Energy is like a general term, right? Nobody ever got to the specifics of that. What type of energy is released? Right? There's different types of energy, right? What type of energy is released? It's a very simple, straightforward question. This is why I have a pet peeve when people throw those terms around, and then I'm stuck having to use these types of terms that are like ambiguous just to get group consensus and keep education going. You know what I'm saying? But every so often I have to let you know, like, disclaimer, we probably want to be more specific with some of these terms. Anyway, glycogenolysis is breaking down glycogen into glucose. Now, glycogen is another form of sugar in your body. So it's not just glucose. You got to deal with glycogen, and dealing with diabetes, pre-diabetes, you got to deal with glycogen because your cells can't metabolize glucose until glycogen is dealt with. Right. So this is why we do the 13 and 7 rule. The 13 and 7 rule. If you don't know what the 13 and 7 rule is, you're behind. You need to subscribe to our Patreon, right? Glycogenesis, which is producing glycogen from sugars, right? So glycogenolysis, breaking down glycogen to produce sugar. Glycogenesis is creating glycogen from sugar, right? Lipogenesis is bringing back fat from glycerols and fatty acids. Lipolysis is breaking down fat into glycerols and fatty acids, right? So remember the relationship of fat to these sugars, right? You really are looking at the body's way of storing sugars, right? Different types of way your body stores sugars. One of the problematic things is that your body even stores proteins like as sugars. So the only way your body can store protein actively is by building muscle. That's the only way to increase the protein content of your body. And the only way to heal your body is to increase the protein content of your body. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. If we're talking about overall health and longevity, that has to do with increasing your body's muscle mass, lowering your body fat percentage. Either way, you're doing the same thing. If you're actively reducing your body fat, that means technically it's a passive way to increase your body's muscle mass percentage. If you're actively increasing the muscle mass, then that's, but the same end, right? We will not discuss folate and methionine right now. That's another conversation. Yada, yada. Okay, so no matter what you eat, your body must convert it into some type of carbon structure that the tricarboxylic acid cycle could break down. Glucose, which is a 6-carbon chain, is going to become 2 pyruvates, right? Pyruvate can then become acetyl-CoA, which has 2 carbons. Sidebar, acetyl-CoA is the precursor to melatonin, vitamin D, and testosterone, which statin drugs may inhibit, right? We talked about some of those drugs, you know, and the side effects and on nutrition and yada yada, right?
Can't you tell that I came from the dope game?
So this is a prime example of how a single carbon atom is produced as waste product of metabolism. That 1 pyruvate, which is 3 carbons, becomes a single acetyl-CoA, and then that other carbon is left over. Let's take a look at our little cheat code chart here again. Right? This is a prime example of, and we're on page 27 in the book. This is a prime example of how a single carbon atom is produced as a waste product of metabolism. That 1 pyruvate becomes 1 single acetyl-CoA, which is 2 carbons, and then there's a carbon left. Right? Now, mind you, should you pull out a textbook and look this up, it's going to be like 1,000 different reactions in between. It's going to be much more complex. So this is a simplification, just so you can get the main steps relative to our conversation and carbon metabolism. Keep that in mind. So now I'm going to get a smart ass that goes, hold up, but you missed it. You know, get your ass out of here. And it's not just me. It's a bunch of us that teach this way. But sometimes science tends to overcomplicate things, right? The revelation or intimation that protein is a myth as well. Pay attention to the term pH. Man, pH. Okay, I got to shoot this down again for you guys, unfortunately. I know y'all hate it. Y'all cringe when we have to correct the elders, but we got to do that. It is almost insanity. That's what I'm saying. It's almost insanity for you guys to talk about the importance of pH or alkaline, and then also say in the same breath that protein is a myth, right? And the reason is simple. The main reason pH is important is because protein only functions at specific pHs. So what I'm saying to you guys is this: if protein was a myth and there was no such thing as protein, there would never be a need to discuss pH. There would never be a need for that. Why is my phone going so crazy right now? Oh, shout out Kim Smith. Hold on. You know what? Let's do this for a second. I want to shout out Kim Smith that sent a Cash App in. Lord knows we need him. All right. Thank you, Kim. Mark Anthony. Definitely want to appreciate you. Bayat. He's a longtime family member and supporter. Calvin. Come on. Amber Glow. She's like, y'all got to get the circle of goats. Right, the people that super support. Augustus, Black Cannon, Bayat again. Right, you see his name popping up back to back. Evan, Jamario, Black Cannon, Arrington, Investments 2023, Bayat again, Mike, Wolfman, Paul Johnson, Investments 23. Okay, we got Investments 2023 popping back up. Tyrese Thompson, Osborne with the mega drop. My man DA, Shingo Weems. Shingo Weems is, yo, I can't hold you. Shingo Weems is the GOAT. Shingo Weems still sends his $85 every month. So definitely want to appreciate all the people that are facilitating this work, right? If we don't get the cash apps, we can't do this. You know what I'm saying? We don't get the support to the website, AmericanHealer.website. We can't do this, right? So again, just breaking that down, right? Just making sure we get that and keep that in mind. Like this, the whole importance of pH is to maintain the right environment for, and this is why pH is different in different areas of the body, right? We focus primarily on the blood pH, but different areas of the body have different pHs because they have different types of peptides, hormones, etc., working there. So some places need a more acidic environment. Some places need a slightly more alkaline environment than just what the blood uses, right? Anyway, jump over to page 31. In the struggle to improve our diets, the social universe magnetizes you towards becoming vegan. Many people try a vegan diet and turn back within 30 days, claiming low energy. Carbon-based compound creatine is responsible for maintaining your initial energy level. When you stop eating meat, your body loses its major source of creatine. This loss is what causes most people energy to drop. Exercise will close the gap in energy. Exercise increases mitochondrial biogenesis. Creatine hydrates muscles, reduces cramps, increases muscle mass, speeds up your recovery, and increase mental performance. So pretty soon you're going to see them start to tell people, now you goofy niggas are going to miss this. But pretty soon they're going to start telling you to give creatine to your children. They're going to start having creatine supplements for kids. They're going to start telling people, you know, high school and college students should go on creatine because they're going to start marketing it as a nootropic for the brain, right? So there's a lot that we don't understand that we need to understand. But it's not necessarily, you know, in order to maintain what you comfortable with, you got to boost the mitochondrial biogenesis. That's all you need to do. When you're switching over from eating meat to going plant-based, you have to exercise. A lot of you niggas think that you're just gonna magically get healthier by avoiding meat. That's not the case. You know what I'm saying? And some of you guys are a little, you know, you might need a steak or something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, your testosterone is not.
Can't you tell that I came from the dope game?
Yeah, sorry. So in book 3, the fiscal edition, we discuss reps for strength versus hypertrophy. The first 7 to 9 seconds being the time limit for switching from strength training into full-blown hypertrophy training, right? So in the fiscal edition, we not only talked about, remember we went into some of this stuff the other day. we not only talked about melanin and mitochondria being engines and alternators, right? Converting mechanical energy and electrical energy and all that kind of stuff. But also in that book, we talk about programming the body, right? The body's electric. If the body's a computer, how do you program it, right? So we talk about programming the body, and we kind of get into the first 7 to 9 seconds being the time limit for switching from strength training into hypertrophy training. 7 to 9 seconds on a deeper level is phosphocreatine, right? So there's a link between creatine and the type of body that you're building, what your body is going to be, like, and just for example, Michael Jordan, when he left the NBA and he went to baseball and he didn't really do well, one of the main things is that he had a body built for basketball. So he had to break down a lot of his muscle and then rebuild up the muscle required to perform at his best for baseball. Completely different set of muscles you need to build. Completely different types of programming your body needs. Right? That's what martial arts is. Remember that your body is based on crystal lattice structure, right? So crystal lattice structure, you repeat, repetition is how you build the body. Repetition is how you build the memory. But repetition is also frequency. Repetition is also frequency, right? Repetition, anyway, that's another conversation, right? So anyway, mind you, this is all happening in the cytoplasm of the cell, right? So the ATP does not need the mitochondria in the first 9 seconds, right? The phosphocreatine system is in the fluid of the cell, producing energy without mitochondria. I know a lot of this conversation is probably mind-blowing to some of you niggas, so we're going to have to end this. So that way you just, as I don't want to, people have told me, and I'm trying to keep it short. If you notice, 90 minutes, 2 hours tops. You're like, wait a minute, EnQi, that's not short. If you think that's not short, you don't know me, right? We do 4, 5, 6 hours without even blinking. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm trying to keep these short so people can metabolize it better, study it better, keep the information organized, right? I'm thinking about deleting every video off my YouTube channel too and just have these up because these are that important. The ATP does not need mitochondria in the phosphocreatine system. Anaerobic respiration happens in a cell's cytoplasm. Aerobic respiration requires mitochondria. The phosphagen system is the 7 to 9 second system. Energy is required to form a new bond between a ADP molecule and a phosphorus that is floating around. Right? So in the cytosol, in the cytoplasm of the cell, right? When ATP is released in there, and one of the phosphoruses are fired off for the light, that your cell's going to use for energy. That now still is floating around. So the ATP went from adenosine with 3 phosphates on it to adenosine with 2 phosphates on it because it released one. So that phosphate's floating around and the ADP's floating around. Now, to bring them back together to ATP, you need some energy, right? You need some energy. After and during the high-flying majesty of the phosphagen system is glycolysis, right? Glycolysis happens during the heroics of the phosphagen system. However, it's a lot stronger and lasts longer, right? This is why we went through the different terms, get you a little familiar. Get the book, right? Because obviously we can't go through everything. At the micro scale, time is moving as fast as chemical reactions can fire. This is what time is inside a cell. Time in a cell, natural time, atomic time, is just chemistry. The faster the chemical reactions, the faster time goes. The slower the chemical reactions, the slower time goes. The more resources a cell has, the younger it is. The less nutrients or resources a cell has, the older it is. It's just that simple. That's the life of a cell. Right? And if your body's composed of cells, you can extrapolate that to your body. Right? Phosphagen takes very few steps in recycling ATP. Glycogen, lactic acid has 12 steps. Right? So you got different systems of producing ATP. This is how you keep the energy. You always have energy available. Even when you're tired, you still have energy available, right? The glycogen lactic acid system has 12 steps, right? But it's a lot slower. The energy will last longer, but it's slower to produce energy. So that means if you need energy right now, your body can't use that glycogen lactic acid system. It has to use the energy. It has to use the ATP that's already in the cell's fluid and it floating around in the cell. Your muscle's going to grab that first, right? From empty, it only takes 30 seconds for the phosphagen system to regenerate 50% of the ADP. Optimum break time between sets should be 30 seconds to 5 minutes to allow max recovery of the phosphagen system. Now, this is just in general. Now, I'm going to give you guys a sex tip. This is for the men. This is for the men. Take small breaks during sex. I promise you, your lady will love you for it. And because your lady loves you for it, you're going to love me for it. Yeah, just hit the Cash App. But I'm serious. Take small breaks. This is why you need to do other things during sex, right? It's not just stroking out. You don't want to just stroke out. I mean, you want to stroke out sometime, but then you want to take a break, play with her breasts, kiss her in the mouth, other different places. The breaks don't have to be that long, right? Again, optimum break time between sets should be 30 seconds up to 5 minutes to allow maximum recovery of the phosphagen system. Now, I studied Tantra for 6 years, right? And they teach the same thing in tantric studies, tantric sciences, but they're not going to tell you, this. They're going to tell you some mystical shit about gods and some other shit and energies. And they're not going to tell you that it's phosphagen recovering, blah, 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 so that the muscles fire and blah. They're not going to tell you this part, right? And largely because they didn't get it that way. So they can't give it to you that way. They don't have this information. But what they're saying is correct, as well as this is correct. They're just explaining it with different nomenclature. I'm just giving you a jewel to, just saying. Right? So if you're in the gym or you're in the bedroom, you might want to just, whatever. You might want to incorporate some of these philosophies into philosophical, you might want to put this into your, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
It ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun, you heard?
Now, mind you, all of this that we're discussing is carbon. The breakdown and the utilization of carbon, why it breaks down, what happens while it's breaking down. So we gave you the basic, but now I'm just giving you more details, right? I'm just filling in. Remember I said some of the details, I'm filling in some of those details that we skipped, right? And then you'll be able to take this and, sharpen yourself up. You know what I'm saying? You'll be able to look at the little cellular clock. That's what I call them. But they got little diagrams of the tricarbonyl. Let me just pull up one of these things real quick. Let me see what we got. So to help you to be able to pull this up. Tricarb. Bang, bang. Right. So when you see these things, you should be getting a little, you should be starting to get a little swaggy. I want y'all to be out there representing the family, looking sharp. We don't want to be out there looking like bozos. Right. But they'll give you something like this. Now you'll be able to get a better idea of what's going on here. Right. And you'll see some familiar players. Right. Now, this whole cycle right here, the TCA cycle in this diagram right here on the right, this big one that I'm highlighting here, is starting with the acetyl-CoA right here. Hopefully y'all can see my little thingy, my little mouse. Pause. Right? See the 2C? Now you know the 2C is for 2 carbons. And this is where this is starting with acetyl-CoA. And the acetyl-CoA process here, right? You see the ATP, and inside you see the NADH, right? All of these little things, you need to be able to, right? Right. And then this is now a big thing, alpha ketoglutarate or AKG. But you see your body produces it naturally. Okay, this one looks terrible. Mad blurry. See if we can get it sharper. Bang. Right. Now this one has the kind of like the upstream, right? So if you look at the top up here where they keep trying to cover it up, you see the pyruvate, you see the NAD to the right of that, and then you see the acetyl-CoA, et cetera, et cetera. So you see the whole, right? You see the whole process up there a little bit. Anyway, hopefully you're getting something. But anyway, so the body is running on this carbon clock, right? So because the body is running on this carbon clock, in the overall sense, Dr. Sebi was correct. In the overall sense, it's just all the details were not correct. So the importance of carbon, of course, right? But the main thing about carbon is not the plants or the humans. The main thing about carbon is the algae, which is the reason why our blue magic is put together in a certain type of way. So is our ocean steak put together in a certain type of way. It's based on this understanding that algae is what absorbs and recycles all of the planetary carbons and turns them into pigments. So that then all of the life that sits on top of algae, which is the plants, the animals, the fish, that and the other, right, can have what it needs in order to partake in the light, the electricity, the magnetism, etc. Right? Sound. Right? We'll get there. But that's the main thing that we want to deal with: sound, light, electricity, and magnetism. Right? All right, what else we got? The mitochondria and the aerobic system can function the longest of them all. The link in breath and muscle system selection is a big part of the mind-muscle connection, right? And we're going to talk about that more when we get deeper into the heart and some of the other organs of the body. Like, we got ways to go. Pyruvate makes its grand entrance into mitochondria and the real energy production begins. So, oh, y'all not even looking at the same thing. My bad. Hold on. I didn't even share that the right way. Let's look at it now. Bang. There you go. Now that's better. If you look at the top, right? When you look at the clock or the circle, that's what's going on primarily within your mitochondria, right? Glucose does not go into mitochondria. Glucose doesn't go into mitochondria, right? So you have to have that first break before you can get to it. You got to have that first break before you can get to it. Right? You got to have that first break before you can get to it. Hold on. I don't like that right there. I had to move over there somewhere. Yeah. All right. So once your body breaks down that glucose and you got two pyruvates, the pyruvate makes its grand entrance into the mitochondria and real energy production begins. Pyruvate is 3 carbons long. For clarity, glucose, and then I have in parentheses, vitamin C also is a 6 carbon long chain, right? One enzyme at the right pH breaks glucose into 2 pyruvates. These are oversimplifications, blah, 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 blah. Pyruvate will get broken down again, this time becoming acetyl-CoA in a single carbon atom. The carbon atom, should it dissolve into the water, quote unquote, will begin carbonic acid production. Each singlet carbon atom is thus bonded to a O2 molecule, forming CO2 for immediate dumping. Right? All right. We had 140. I think we might come back. We might come back into this book and pick up where we left off. I think we got a good idea about this carbon metabolism. I think we did carbon metabolism pretty good today. Yeah. Okay, we went in.